Welcome back into the Arrowhead Pride Rapid Reaction Show. I am Steven Serda, joined as always by my guy, Rocky Magaña. Kramer Sansone in the background, making sure we keep this thing afloat. The Chiefs absolutely demolished the Chicago Bears on Sunday afternoon in what was a glorious, glorious day at Arrowhead Stadium. Taylor Swift is in attendance celebrating. It seems like the entire world right now is just flying high on the idea that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift might be dating. And the Chiefs absolutely decimate the Chicago Bears, as they should, because we talked about it all week long at Arrowhead Pride. The Chicago's Bears team is not a very good football team, and the Chiefs did exactly what they needed to do. The offense finally gets on track, and it was just complete and utter domination from start to finish in this thing. Rocky, I know you got the victory PJs on. You were ready to roll. I'm excited to talk about this win and talk about an impressive showing by the Kansas City Chiefs.
I tell you what, Steven Serda, it's either the fact that we put 41 points on the board, the fact that I had a couple fingers of smoked bourbon, or the fact that hashtag Team Swelsey was in the stands today. I am flying high. I am feeling good. I am wearing the victory PJs, which the only other time I've ever worn these PJs is when we won the Super Bowl. I only wear these PJs when there's a dominant victory, and the Chiefs were 100% dominant from the opening whistle today. If it hadn't been for a garbage time touchdown, the Bears would have finished the game in single digits where they belonged. Let's face it, they kept Patrick Mahomes in this game. The Chiefs could have outscored the Miami Dolphins today. It's like, for those of you who don't know, Miami Dolphins put up 70 on the Denver Donkeys, which is also awesome. Today's a great day for football, Kansas City. Your Chiefs looked 100% locked in on offense, defense, every facet of the game. I mean, it's rare that you say that the Chiefs almost played a perfect game, but this Chiefs team almost played a perfect game when the first team was in the game, and it was fun as hell to watch, Serda. It was I'm there's sometimes where you don't want it to be a nail biter. You just want to watch your team go out there and just kick the other team in the jaw and just leave no doubt. And that's what this was. It was a get right game, and it's everything that we needed as Chiefs fans.
So we'll get into everything from this game because there's a lot of positive things to take away from their performance against Chicago Bears. And really, it is worth acknowledging that this Chicago Bears team right now looks like it is one of the worst rosters in football. And this is a team that was supposed to be on the rise a little bit, maybe taking a turn with Justin Fields. And they look, especially after their week in the media and Justin Fields comments and their defensive coordinator resigning and just all of that stuff. Like, the Chicago Bears are in total dysfunction, and they absolutely looked like that on Sunday. But this is the kind of game where, we've seen this Chiefs team underperform in these situations in the past. But we talked about it this week at Arrowhead Pride that's not what this game felt like, because the Chiefs across the board are the clearly more talented team. And so in every way, they should dominate this football game. And that's exactly what they did. And Rocky, now that I want to get in the offense, I want to get in the defense, I want to get in the offensive line. We can talk about Taylor Swift a little bit if you want to. But this performance, this is exactly what defending Super Bowl champions should do to a bottom-dwelling team like the Chicago Bears. And there was no playing games today. There was no messing around. From start to finish, they were absolutely dominant, and that's what they should do in these kinds of contests. And now, with the way that their schedule is opening up ahead, and you mentioned what the Miami Dolphins did to the Denver Broncos. They got 2 games with the Broncos coming up. The Chargers wound up coming away with a win to avoid going 0-3 against the Vikings, but Brandon Staley basically tried to lose that football game for the Chargers, and so they were lucky to escape with a win and avoid the 0-3 start. But they haven't been overly impressive. Mike Williams also suffered a significant injury that could keep him off the field for some time. So that's something to pay attention to with the Chargers moving forward. But then next week, the Chiefs play on Sunday Night Football against this New York Jets team that looks like it has one of the best defenses in the league. But Zach Wilson's a total train wreck, and offensively, they cannot accomplish anything. And with the way this Chiefs defense is playing right now, this Chiefs defense should be in the conversation with teams like the Jets, teams like the Bills, teams like the Cowboys, and teams like the 49ers. Like, that's how good this defense has been through 3 contests now. And I know they're 2-1 and they lost the close game to the Detroit Lions in week 1. But we needed this offensive performance today in a big way. And while we might still have some questions about this offense moving forward, we know that Patrick Mahomes can do this. We know that Andy Reid can do this. And so today, all I cared about, all I wanted to see was them handle business against an obviously inferior team. And they absolutely did that in every way.
Yeah, they couldn't go out and win this game by 10 points. They needed to go out and win this game in decisive fashion to prove that they are still that championship caliber team that we think they are. And let's not forget that there's no, like, you think the Raiders are going to beat the Steelers tomorrow? I don't think the Raiders have what it takes to beat the Steelers
Tonight.
I think tonight. Football. Sorry, not tomorrow. It's tonight. You're right. I apologize, Chiefs Kingdom. I think the Raiders are about to get dominated by that defense. I think that when the dust settles tonight, the Chiefs are going to be in first place in the AFC West, where they rightfully belong. I just hope that Chris Jones plays against a rookie tackle every single game this year, because he's taking kids lunch left and right and welcoming them to the NFL. And you're right. The Chicago Bears had probably the worst week that any NFL team possibly could have in the media. But guess what? It's the NFL. Nobody's sitting here feeling sorry for you, Chicago. Like, I'm sorry, but you still got to strap up your cleats. You still got to go out there and play a game. And this was the type of game the Chiefs were supposed to win. And the Chiefs won it in the way they were supposed to win it. And I don't feel bad for Chicago. I don't feel bad for Chicago fans. I feel good for Chiefs fans. And it's a beautiful day. And let's face it, when it comes to Taylor Swift, because we're going to talk about Taylor Swift today, Steven Serda, whether you like it or not, I'm going to make sure that we talk about Taylor Swift. Anytime one of your players enters into a relationship with somebody who is very notable, i.e. Taylor Swift, who's the biggest pop star,
much more than notable, maybe the most famous person in the world right now.
Yeah, maybe the most famous person in the world, breaks every single record on Spotify and YouTube. Like, she is the largest. She's bigger than Beyonce right now, right? And I am a Swiftie, so kill me in the comments. I don't care. I love her music. Folklore is one of the greatest albums of all time. But I was scared about her dating our boy Travis Kelce. And I was scared because I didn't know how he was going to perform with her in attendance. I didn't know how the team was going to perform. Like, were they going to be nervous? Was he going to be trying too hard? Was he going to make stupid errors? But no, the team played great. Travis Kelce got his touchdown. He showed out for his girl. He got a touchdown, and then Andy Reid took him out of the game. Everything's great. You know what? Go, Team Swelsey. Yeah, that's right. She's so big that she gets the front end of their name combo. I think it's swell. And I'm a big fan, and I hope that this lasts forever. And they have 16 beautiful little Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce babies. Now, the truth is, she's probably already writing their breakup song, and their breakup is probably pre-scheduled in the media. But I hope I'm wrong, because I believe in love, Steven Serda, and I believe in true love, and I believe in love at first sight. And look how nice she looks sitting next to her mother there. Like Donna Kelce's an angel, and this could just be a beautiful thing if it turns out great.
So I want to remind you guys, use hashtag AP Rapid Reaction in the comment section. We'll try to get to some of those at the end of the show. I think an underrated part of all of this has been just, it's been funny as somebody who follows the NFL so closely and who does this for a living, but also is very entrenched in pop culture. And while I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I know a bunch of Taylor Swift songs, but I listen to lots of music. I watch lots of movies. I read lots of books. Like, I consume a lot of pop culture and media. And it's been highly entertaining to watch these worlds collide and watch the NFL fandom come together with the Swiftie fandom, and everybody like hold Travis Kelce up and say like, yes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, we support this idea. And it's amazing. I didn't know if this Chiefs team could actually become more famous than like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce already are. But dating Taylor Swift is certainly a way to up your profile into another stratosphere. So I support it. I am rooting for Travis and Taylor to make this thing work. And I agree with you, Rocky. I hope they have a long-lasting relationship. It's fantastic just seeing her at Arrowhead Stadium and putting Kansas City kind of in this other stratosphere in itself, just having her around. is something that's very cool. But I want to get into the football game. We've talked enough Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And I want to start on the offensive side of the ball specifically because we already talked about that we needed this offense to show up in this game because this Bears defense does not do anything that should concern the Kansas City Chiefs offensively and should concern Patrick Mahomes. And the biggest issue that I think the Chiefs offense has had through the first two games of the season is, obviously he's spreading the ball around. Obviously he's just peppering guys everywhere. I think he hit another 9 or 10 pass catchers again today, which has been a consistent theme through the first couple of games of the season. But you just needed to see some guys get open. You needed to see some guys make plays downfield and not have Patrick Mahomes just standing back there holding onto the ball forever because nobody's creating separation. Nobody's getting open downfield. And I think what was really promising early on in this game was the Chiefs knew that they could run the ball on the Chicago Bears team. And we saw them lean into that early to help the passing game. And that's something that we've been talking about on this very show, Rocky. Like, we know that they have the horses on the offensive line to be good at running the ball, but when you have Patrick Mahomes, sometimes you get too caught up in the pass and you want to make the big plays and you want to put up a lot of points. I understand all of that, but we've known for a while now that this team with Isaiah Pacheco, with Jerick McKinnon, with Clyde in this complementary role and not like as your lead back, they can be highly effective running the ball with that offensive line. And they did that early on in the game. We saw Jerick McKinnon find the end zone to kick off the scoring, and he wound up finding the end zone twice on Sunday. But I think that's the biggest thing that helped open up the offense, that made everything actually look smooth again, because it hadn't really looked smooth through the first 2 weeks of the season. And I think it all started with the Chiefs admitting that they needed to lean into the run game a little bit more and actually going out there and sticking with it throughout the entirety of the game.
100%. The running backs ran the ball for 32 carries today. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball for 38 times. If you figure in the quarterback's rushes, there was 37 runs for 38 passes. Like when was the last time the Chiefs were almost 50-50 in running versus passing? Like they 100% leaned into the run game today, and the running backs were effective. And I think that this is a recipe for success for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes hit 10 separate receivers today. 9 of them got positive yardage. Kadarius Toney went backwards 1 yard, but we're not talking about negatives today, Steven Serda. So we'll let that one slide. But no, Mahomes spread the ball around. He was efficient in the pocket. He knew when to scramble. Mahomes looked like Mahomes. And you gotta love seeing Isaiah Pacheco run hard every single time. And a lot of fans were down on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But you know what? If you take Clyde Edwards-Helaire's draft position away from him, he's a really valuable player, and he showed that today. He had some really nice plays in the first half, especially when they had Pacheco off the field. There was like a 3-play series there where they fed the ball to Helaire, and he looked really good. And Helaire is a guy that Andy obviously trusts, and you know what? Going down like as the season progresses, this is going to be a fun team to watch if they can continue to run the ball effectively. I honestly think that more so than it has been before, running the ball is important for this team.
Yeah, and Clyde actually found the end zone as well on Sunday. And I think that Clyde when he's healthy, he has always been an effective player for the Chiefs. Just for a first-round drafted running back, he has never lived up to that bill in the NFL. I think injuries slowed him a lot in his NFL career, but he's an effective player. He might not be the best running back in all of football, but there's value in having him on this Chiefs team, and that's why he's going to continue to have a role. Now, I will note that late in the game when all the starters were out, Clyde was the running back that was out there getting a lot of the carries. I think that tells you what the pecking order is of the running back room. But Clyde's an effective player when given an opportunity, and he had some nice runs today on top of finding the end zone. But I just think I'd like to see them just lean into this running game a little bit more, especially because I think that it can be effective against other teams that aren't as great at matchups as the Chicago Bears. So it was nice to see them offensively admit that and say, we can utilize this to open things up downfield and get the pass catchers more involved. And I think another encouraging sign for the offense was we saw with Richie James going to IR this week and Kadarius Toney being banged up, and we'll get the snap counts tomorrow, but did not seem like Kadarius Toney was on the field all that much. And I think some of that was he had that one reception that was -1 yard. And then I don't recall seeing him again after that. I'm sure he might have been out on the field again after that. But it seemed like from the early going that the Chiefs knew, like, we've got this thing in the bag. We don't need to deploy him out there, especially after he was banged up during practice this week. But the other encouraging sign is that we saw Rashee Rice and we saw Justin Ross getting more snaps and more reps. And we still haven't seen a ton from Justin Ross. I still have faith that he could one day be an effective player for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. But Rashee Rice looks like a guy who is going to command some more snaps here in the near future. Like, I've been really impressed with him through 3 games so far in a very limited sample size. But when the Chiefs get him involved in the offense, you can tell that when he has the ball in his hands, he's just got a little bit more pop than I think any other pass catcher outside of Travis Kelce does. When he gets the ball, he had multiple plays today over the middle of the field where he's just this strong, big-bodied wide receiver who can go shed tackles and pick up those yards after contact. Like, he just looks like he's more explosive that way than anybody else they have in that wide receiver room. So I would love to see more Rashee Rice moving forward, because I think in the small sample size that we've seen of him so far, he has done enough to earn more opportunities, and the Chiefs need to try to get him on the field more.
Oh, I 100% agree. Rashee Rice, once he has the ball in his hands and he gets going north to south, he looks like a tight end with the ball in his hands, and he's able to drive the ball upfield, and he falls forward like his first touchdown, right? Like, they were trying to tackle him, and they ruled him down at the 1 on that play, I think, actually. But he falls forward. He doesn't get driven backwards. He's explosive with the ball in his hand. He kind of runs angry a little bit, and the guy's a weapon. The guy's the kind of wide receiver that the Chiefs have been kind of looking for a while. Like, the Chiefs have always kind of gone for more of those, Tyreek Hill, Sky Moore, like that kind of like 6 foot tall, 180 pound, 5'10", 180 pound, like wide receiver types. And we've always kind of wanted them to kind of go for a larger wide receiver set, and they have that this year. And I think that what you're seeing is that after the catch, those guys are like, they're not going to break it for 70 yards, but consistently they're going to get you those hard yards after the catch. They're going to fall forward. They're going to get an extra 2-3 yards after contact. And you add that up over the course of the season, and you're going to move a lot of sticks. Right. And so I think that, honestly, you're 100% right. Rashee Rice is playing himself into more playing time. And I'm really impressed with him through the first 3 games of the season.
And it's a bummer because Rashee Rice almost found the end zone twice, got stopped at the goal line both times. Isaiah Pacheco picks up a touchdown. Clyde picks up a touchdown on the back of explosive Rashee Rice plays. But for a wide receiver room that still feels like it is really trying to find that guy, like Rashee Rice, when given opportunities, he has shown that he can be a playmaker for this offense. So I desperately want to see more of him and see him get more involved in the offense. But it was a nice day for everybody. Justin Watson had some nice plays. MVS had the long touchdown that was called back because of a penalty, but he did have another explosive play later on in the game. Just all around offensively, the Chiefs absolutely had their way. And Travis Kelce, after the break, Chiefs didn't play very much in the second half today, but you knew he had to find the end zone because Taylor Swift was in attendance. So they get him his touchdown in the second half. He finishes with 69 receiving yards. Has a very nice day as the Chiefs just cruise to victory over the Chicago Bears. I think the one thing that you could point to offensively that was another issue yet again was tackle Juwan Taylor, who wound up getting benched at one point in this game for the second consecutive week after getting called for 2 penalties in the first half. And then and one of them is that MVS touchdown that gets called back because of a Taylor penalty of an illegal formation call on him, which I think that one was kind of wishy-washy and probably didn't need to get thrown. But I don't know what you do about this anymore, aside from in practice, every time they line up, you have to monitor where he is at and be like, Juwan, get up to the line of scrimmage, because it's an issue now. And I still tend to lean on the side where I think it's bogus that he is being singled out by referees, where we're still seeing guys do this across the league. It's just not the platform of the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions, and Juwan Taylor being basically flagged by the NFL is like, watch him and see where he's lining up to throw flags on him. Like, I think all of that is super unfair, and it's a competitive disadvantage for the Kansas City Chiefs. But obviously, this is going to keep being an issue moving forward. I don't know if benching him is the right thing to do. And then Prince Tega comes in to fill in for him. He gets hurt on a Blaine Gabbert interception trying to make a tackle, leaves the game. Donovan Smith is banged up for a little bit. He winds up returning because Prince Tega has to leave the game. And then Taylor and Smith wind up both coming back out. At the end of the game, Joe Thuney's like playing tackle because they just pulled everybody. Like, the offensive line, despite the fact that they have played really well, it's kind of frustrating that there's this cloud hanging over the offensive line. Like, they aren't playing well. They're playing great. Like, the offensive line so far, early returns on this group is spectacular for the Kansas City Chiefs, but the flags are what everybody's going to remember. And the fact that Juwan Taylor got benched is what everybody's going to remember. And I think that is frustrating, but obviously the Chiefs have to put more of an emphasis on this in practice because it can't keep being an issue every week.
Listen, at some point, if you don't adjust to the refs adjusting to you, then you can't be on the field. Like, I'm sorry. Like I'm not saying that Juwan Taylor's not being targeted. I'm not saying that he's not being bullied by the NFL and that it's not BS because everybody else is doing it. It doesn't matter. They're throwing flags on you every single time you do it. You have to adjust. You can't keep it going out there and doing the same thing. Guess what? You almost got the franchise injured, right? Like Mahomes should not have been out there on the play where he got his knee dinged up or his ankle dinged up because you got a stupid penalty on something that they told you not to do, that they've shown you can't get away with. And Mahomes would have been seriously injured on that play because of your dumb actions, because you're not adjusting. Like, I got no sympathy for that. Like, if you can't adjust, it's not fair. I don't care if it's fair. Life's not fair. NFL's not fair. Refs aren't fair. Fix it. Take it. Get on the line of scrimmage. Don't line up illegally and just play football the way that they're going to make you play it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is a big boys game. Like there's no sympathy points for being picked on here. Like, I'm sorry it's happening, but do your job. Do your job. And which is line up and not get a flag.
And so it was the immediate play after the long MVS touchdown gets called back because of an illegal formation. Next play, Yannick Ngakoue coming around, kind of slides under Taylor, trying to make a play on Patrick Mahomes, but the ball's already gone. There's no play to be made. Yannick Ngakoue kind of falls on Patrick Mahomes' right ankle, which is the same ankle that he injured last season. Mahomes comes up limping, but stays in the game. Doesn't seem like it was really bothering him after once they went to the locker room and came back out. Like, Mahomes came back out and looked fine. So hopefully it wasn't serious and it's not something that's going to be nagging him moving forward, but it's something we definitely want to keep an eye on moving forward. And I'm sure Andy Reid will mention it at the post-game podium, which if you're listening to us on the podcast page, I want to remind you, we'll have all the post-game press conferences immediately following the commercial break. But I'm sure Andy will bring it up and he'll have some things to say about it at the post-game podium. But it seems right now like the Chiefs avoided disaster and Patrick Mahomes is fine, thankfully.
You know, Serda, I wasn't going to bring it up today. I was like, you know what? It's a big victory. Keep it positive, Rocky. Don't go off on Juwan Taylor because you're mad that he almost got Mahomes injured. And then you brought it up and it triggered me.
Well, because it's going to be something that is talked about out of this game. And it's an issue right now. Like, it's something that we have to be mindful of moving forward because this is the second consecutive week after – week one national stage, Juwan Taylor's getting called out for something that he's been doing his entire career. And now in back-to-back weeks, he's getting flagged left and right for it. And they've got to figure out how to do that because they got way too much money invested in him to keep benching him every week because he's getting called for penalties. And also, he's played well despite the penalties. So I would prefer it if they stopped taking him off the field because other than the penalties, he's played really well for the Chiefs. So I just think it's unfair that he's being singled out, but obviously this is going to be a thing moving forward. So it's got to be something that they focus on and work on. But I want to move to the defensive side of the ball because all this offense talk, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, offensive line, and the Kansas City Chiefs defense is still somehow flying under the radar right now across the entire NFL, where it is insane to me that they are not getting the kind of credit that some of these other defenses in the league are getting right now, when they have played like they are a legitimate top 5 defense in the NFL, like they are an elite unit, and they didn't even have Nick Bolton today. Drew Tranquil fills in. He's got the green dot. He's calling plays out there on the field. Willie Gay had a nice game. And from the very first snap on defense, like the Chiefs were just all over Justin Fields. There's nothing that offensive line could do. We saw Chris Jones moving all up and down the line again. I love this version of Chris Jones that Spags is deploying right now, where he's just like, they got a rookie on the offensive line. Yeah, we're going to put Chris Jones over that dude and watch Chris Jones just absolutely wreck him. Like, I feel bad for Darnell Wright. I think Darnell Wright's got a chance of being a good player. Going up against Chris Jones is not a matchup you're going to win in your rookie season. And it's not a matchup you're going to win even if you're a seasoned veteran. Like, Chris Jones is just playing that out of his mind right now as he's trying to hit all these contract incentives this season. But the Chiefs defense through 3 games has been legitimately elite. And I believed that they were going to be better this season. I believed that they were going to play themselves into like that top 10 conversation. I don't think I was quite ready for them to play the way that they have played through 3 games. And one of those games, I didn't even have Chris Jones on the field. Now with Chris Jones back in the mix, Mike Dana's still playing out of his mind. George Karlaftis had some nice moments today. The Chiefs secondary is just loaded with guys who are making plays all over the football field. It's just another incredibly impressive showing by this defense. And man, I am all in. I am all in on this unit being a top 5 unit in the NFL through 3 games.
Chris Jones is going to finish the season with 20 sacks. I mean, I'm just saying it right now. He's going to get 20 sacks this season. And one thing that I think can't be overlooked that we need to mention is, you know what, Drew Tranquil, filling in for Nick Bolton, didn't start today. You had the green dot. You got the defense out there. You got them lined up. They looked awesome. You led the team in tackles. You got half a sack yourself. You got another QB hit. Drew Tranquil played a really good game. Trent McDuffie looks like he could be a top 10 cornerback in this league. He is a complete player, not just coverage, run support, pass rushing. Like Trent McDuffie is a stud, you guys. Don't overlook it, because there's a lot of players on this defense flying around and making plays. Trent McDuffie, he's the real deal, 100%. You see him on the highlight right here, getting that little strip fumble right there, causing it. Like he's all over the place performing. And I've always like Mike Dana, like he's that guy where you always think to yourself, like, is he good? Is he really good? Is he kind of good? Is he so? And his center of gravity is just so low because he's undersized for a defensive tackle that offensive linemen have a hard time getting under his pad level. And it seems like he's finally learning how to use that leverage. And he is, like you saw in his sack he had, or no, it was even a missed sack. Justin Fields got away. He walked that guard right back into Justin Fields' lap on one play there in the first half. And it was just him just getting 100% underneath that guard's field level and just driving them backwards. Mike Dana is going to have a year, you guys. Like buckle up. He looks better than he ever has in his previous seasons. It's a contract year. I know I keep on saying the contract year is undefeated, but Mike Dana through 3 games, Mike Dana's had 3 good games. Yeah. Like, how many games before we say Mike Dana's a really good player?
I just didn't expect them, because especially with these Spags defenses, like we talk about it every year, like they start slow, they come on hot. But this is easily the most talented group he's had during his time here in Kansas City. This is easily the most talented defense that Patrick Mahomes has had on the other side of him since he became the Kansas City Chiefs starting quarterback. And they're showing it on a weekly basis. And they still get Charles Omenihu back. And so I don't even think we've seen the ceiling of this defense yet. But you mentioned Trent McDuffie. He's got 2 forced fumbles on the year. I know McDuffie doesn't have the interception numbers yet, but he's going to get some interceptions eventually. But he is maybe the most underrated cornerback in the NFL right now. And he's a second-year player who isn't getting a lot of attention and didn't get a ton of attention despite his stellar play as a rookie, because he missed so many games at the start of the season. And once he comes in, just kind of flying under the radar because it's the Kansas City Chiefs. But he is spectacular. Like, not only is he a sticky lockdown type of corner, Trent McDuffie is not afraid to make tackles. We see him on a weekly basis come up from the secondary and making plays in the run game, forcing fumbles, doing all of that stuff that L'Jarius Sneed has done so well for years. And Sneed, I think this was the best game I think Snead has had this season, because we've kind of seen him be up and down. He's still dealing with the nagging knee thing that's limiting him in practice, and didn't really wound up missing training camp. And so he's still kind of trying to get back to it and get his rhythm going. And so we've seen some up and down stuff from Snead over the first 2 weeks of the season. I thought this was his best game of the season today. And their secondary, man, Brian Cook had another nice day. Mike Edwards comes up with interception off of a deflection for the Chiefs. And that's been the thing too that Spags mentioned this week. Like, we'd like to force some more turnovers. That's the next thing we want to do. And they did that today. Like, again, just as the Chiefs offense needed to just dominate this Bears defense because they're just a wildly inferior opponent, the same goes for the Bears offensively against the Chiefs defense. And the Chiefs defense absolutely dominated them in every way today. I mean, obviously you could look at the final score and say 41-10, but I don't even think that highlights how dominant the Chiefs defense was against this Bears offense. Like, just another incredibly impressive showing from this group. And I'm excited that we got to see some points and that Mahomes was slinging it out there today. But I'm even more excited for the potential of the defense moving forward. I just can't express how impressed I am by them through 3 games.
I mean, if you think about it, like Trent McDuffie, I was just going to look up here on PFF, and PFF is what PFF is. He's got an 89.9 coverage grade so far this season on PFF. He's averaging a 79.9 passer rating. Like, sure, he's given up 68 yards receiving total to wide receivers through 3 games. Like sure, he doesn't have the interception numbers. It's because they're not throwing his direction. Like guys are just not getting open against him. He is blanketing guys in coverage, and he is not giving the quarterback an opportunity to try to put the ball in there against the guy that he's on. And so, I mean, a lot of times you see that with the best cornerbacks in the league is that the cornerbacks in the league, that the opposing quarterbacks are afraid to throw the direction. And I think that's 100% what you're seeing with Trent McDuffie. You're absolutely right. This is the best defense the Chiefs have had in the Patrick Mahomes era. And it's exciting because I said last week the Chiefs were a defense first team. Now today they were offense. They were just a complete team, right? And I'm shoot, man. We might run it back this year, Steven Serda. I know it's just the Bears, but we might run it back this year.
They're still figuring things out, but I mentioned their schedule, and man, it's after, when we ahead of Jacksonville, I was having a conversation with Ron Hughley and Brandon Kiley, and it's like, if the Chiefs lose this game and start 0-2, are you worried? No. Have you looked at their schedule coming up? So dominating performance against the Chicago Bears, this Zach Wilson led Jets team that can't score points to save their lives right now. No, I understand that defense is still very talented. Not worried about the Jets. Minnesota Vikings, who can obviously score a lot of points, but they also can't defend anybody. They can't stop anybody. Keenan Allen had 200 receiving yards today against this Minnesota Vikings team. Then you get the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Chargers, and then the Broncos again before that Germany game against the Miami Dolphins. And the Broncos just gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins today. So the schedule's opening up very nicely for the Kansas City Chiefs before a huge matchup in Germany against the Miami Dolphins. And I expect the Chiefs to win all of these games. Just really impressed with them. Obviously, they got the one blemish, and it was a tough loss. But this is a team that I think is still figuring things out. This was just another step, and then figuring out where they want to be by the end of the season. And so far, the returns are spectacular. And everybody should be really excited about both sides of the ball. But let's wrap things up. I know you guys are eager to hear from Andy Reid and all the players after the post game. So we'll get to that immediately following the commercial break. But Kramer, do we have any comments from the audience? Just think how many new fans we have now with all those Swifties, the Chiefs game. That's what I'm saying. Like, the way that fan base is coming together with the football fan base, and specifically the Chiefs fan base, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be insane, because I don't know if like people who are just football fans, but maybe not as involved in like pop culture, truly realize how famous Taylor Swift is and how massive, like what a massive worldwide brand she is. I don't even know if Travis Kelce fully comprehends that, because Travis Kelce is a very famous NFL player. but he is nothing compared to the level of fame that Taylor Swift is bringing to the table. So this is going to be something that everyone talks about for the rest of the season, as long as it appears that they might be dating each other.
It's wonderful. It's great. And here's kind of just like a little droplet of it. Pete tweeted out, our editor over at Arrowhead Pride tweeted out, I wrote a story about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce earlier this week when he kind of confirmed that they were a bit of a thing. And within like an hour and a half of it announcing that Taylor Swift was at the game, we had an additional 20,000 reads of that article on the website. That's just my article. Like my article, guys. Like not even like an actual like we're not talking like ESPN's article or anything like that. Arrowhead Pride's article had an extra 20,000 people reading it like the second that it was announced that she was at that game. Like we're talking millions and millions and millions of people. And like if this actually becomes a thing, Travis Kelce's jersey is going to be like the most purchased jersey by like women's jersey in the NFL overnight. Like that's the type of thing we're talking about here.
Travis Kelce did get a touchdown on Sunday, but that was maybe not the most impressive thing that he accomplished on Sunday afternoon in Kansas.
You talk about punching above your weight and batting out of your league. Like he's batting out of his like solar system right now, you guys.
I believe that the only reason he played in the second half and the only reason Mahomes played in the second half is because he went to Andy and Mahomes. So it's like, you guys got to get me a touchdown for Taylor.
Like help me out, bro. Like you got to do me this solid.
He's Rocky Magaña. You can follow him on Twitter at Rocky Magaña. I'm Steven Serda. That's where you can find me. You can follow Kramer at Kramer Talks. Chiefs win, an impressive showing. They improved to 2-1 on the season, and they've got Sunday Night Football against the Zach Wilson-led New York Jets next week. So we'll have plenty of coverage for you at arrowheadpride.com. As always, please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review everything that we are doing right here on the Arrowhead Pride Podcast Network. And I will be back tomorrow morning, me and Pete Sweeney, with a fresh edition of the Arrowhead Pride Report. We'll talk to you guys then.